Hey everybody, welcome back to another reaction video. This one was recommended by a viewer like you, and if you have a recommendation, leave it below in the comments. I'll add it to my list and I will post it. So if you're waiting for yours, it is being made, it is being scheduled, so you'll see it soon. This one is Wilt Chamberlain GOAT by Fuba's Sport. The original link will be in the description below. I'm also going to add another video to this because that was kind of short. It's about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm going to add current NBA players' opinions on Wilt Chamberlain. That's a little bit longer video, but it should equate to about 10 to 15 minutes long for this video. So yeah, this will be interesting. This was the first one was recommended by a viewer. Second one I just kind of added on. But yeah, let's get into this and hopefully learn a little bit more about Wilt Chamberlain. There's not a lot of video evidence of him just because he was around the time where that wasn't very happening. So let's get into it.
Some of the statistics about you as an athlete, an all-around athlete, that people don't notice about you. A shot-putting champion, undefeated for long periods of time.
I saw him put the shot over 50 feet.
He threw the shot 56 feet. Skip, Wilt, he triple jumped 50 feet.
Oh my God. Let's keep in mind that this person is, what, 7'2"? Probably somewhere around there. Whoa. He was a track athlete as well. That is insane. Because the only other person I have that, in mind that was around that size was obviously Yao Ming was 7'6", I want to say, or 5. And then you got Shaquille O'Neal, who was 7'1", but he weighed so much more. So we weren't used to seeing Shaq do crazy feats of athleticism because he wasn't that athletic. Not like Wilt Chamberlain, I guess. I mean, look at how thin and muscular he is. Jesus. Shot putting 56 feet? That is insane. That's got to be close to, maybe not Olympics, but it's got to be close to like qualifying for the Olympics. Boy, he is high up in the air, and he did triple jump, long jump, something like that. Let's keep watching this.
He won the gate high jump 3 straight years.
The rumor got out and scared the daylights out of everybody in the country.
A 50-inch vertical jump.
I'm getting 58.
Oh my God, look at that picture. It looks like he's just standing, and it's a weird like perspective photograph, but he's actually he's jumping that high. Good Lord. Apparently they also jumped forwards over the bar back then. That was before they started like bending their back around the bar. So that's interesting.
Just off of the ground on a vertical.
And I give you 7'1"
Yeah, like that.
going over the high jump bar. That is pretty impressive to get that kind of lift.
Is that big a dude?
We know what high jumpers look like, Skip. They're thin. They barely weigh if they weigh 200 pounds.
And Wilt also ran the 200.
Yeah.
Like he could sustain it for distance.
Yeah.
I saw Wilt Chamberlain run under 2 minutes in the 880
Dude was like solid
yards.
muscle.
I know you did a 4.4 and a 40-yard dash.
What would you do the 100 in? Under 10 seconds?
4.4
the
and the 40 yard
dash, 9.96, 9.5 for 100-yard dash. 100 meters, around 10.2 and then in that area.
Have you been clocked at this, or you just...
To put that into perspective, at the 100-meter dash, 9.96, Usain Bolt was 9.58, I want to say is the world record. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Good Lord.
No, clock. It's not all just imagination.
Yes,
I mean,
What was exciting for me as a kid at 13, 14 years old was to come to his house and see him pick up 350 pounds in a weight.
I saw him pick up 500 pounds. I almost dropped off a roof watching. A guy pick up 500 pounds.
Retired in '73, time and again Wilt is asked to return to the arena. to once again do battle on the board. And even today, no one questions his condition. Is the time right for the Great Dipper's return?
Someone said, you know, I think he still thinks that he could play.
Well, I'll tell you what, up until about 1989, there were owners out there who thought I still could.
Wilt Chamberlain was another one that I met and trained with.
You trained with Wilt Chamberlain?
Yeah, we eventually ended up doing a movie together.
When he made the movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, they were in a weight room. And Wilt says, well, how do you do that? And Arnold goes, well, this way you do it. You push up. So Wilt lays down on the bench, gets up under it. Bing, 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 bing. As Schwarzenegger never came into the weight room with Wilt again.
It's been really sort of a wonder to me that people would want an old 52 or 53-year-old guy out there on the courts. So, I mean, it's quite a compliment to me. It really, really is. But I think the statement is being made there that, you know, I can maybe still help teams.
He is all you see, forever, in the spotlight.
Not to demean the players of the day, I think that Wilt Chamberlain could probably go out and be a leading rebounder.
Well,
yeah,
rebounder.
Yeah, rebounder, right. Which is a part of the game.
Yeah,
you got to have the ball
right.
to win.
That's right.
Do you think, in a limited role, and this was talked.
Well, nowadays, the big guys are out there shooting distance, so it makes sense that he would do pretty well rebounding if he doesn't go that far out.
About not too long ago that you could come back and compete and contribute in today's NBA.
I'm still very active in sports. Yes, I can come back in a limited role. Yes, I really, really could.
Let's start another rumor. Maybe I should come back.
You know, to this day when I'm around him, I just can't believe the size of the man. He's 60 years old and he looks like he still could play basketball.
Could you?
Wow. I've never seen someone make Shaquille O'Neal look that small. Other than, obviously, Yao Ming. But that's crazy. That is so wild. He was a freak of nature. Jeez. What's weird is he looked like really skinny, but it was just straight muscle. That's crazy. I can't believe he was that athletic. That fast, that athletic.
First of all, why wait till Luke Longley
the
go
ability
down?
to jump that high and be that big.
Appreciate it very much. Give him a hand.
There was this natural disposition to see this guy simply as a freak of nature.
Yeah. Wow.
Some of the statistics about you as an athlete, all-around athlete, people don't notice it.
What is it like when you keep getting yourself compared to Wilt Chamberlain?
First of all, you can't compare that. He's on another level, you know. But just being in you know, that same streak and the same records, the first person that has done it since Wilt, it's like we're getting to something. But that's what you work hard for. That's what you play for. Obviously, you play, you know, win championships and all that great stuff, but it's pretty cool, you know, when it's all said and done and you're retired and.
Oh my God. Most 50-point NBA games of all time. 118 Wilt. 31 Michael Jordan. 25 Kobe Bryant. I mean, that is such a distance between him and everybody else. Good Lord. That's wild.
You know, it's in that category.
That's a record that might stand time.
The most dominant player ever.
To say who is the greatest, we will never know that. I mean, in my eye, Wilt Chamberlain is the greatest basketball player.
If I were to score 100 points, it would probably be me, a bunch of bursts, a bunch of preschoolers.
I mean, 100 points, it's hard to fathom that.
That is a lot of points. That is a lot of points. And he also scored a lot off the court, is what I read. What I read was that his estimations, conservatively, is that he had relations with around 20,000 women. He had no interest to marry. He had no interest to have kids, so he didn't. Man, that's wild. That is wild. At a certain point, you would think you would just get over it or just tired of it, but hey, man, the human mind is a wild thing.
It's hard to put into words just how impressive that is.
It was never going to be broken. So whatever's going to do that, I would ask myself, was he playing by himself or was he playing against the other 5 guys in the other team?
You see now all the records that guys are breaking now. Wilt Chamberlain is always the first name on the list, so it's like he's kind of hunted behind the scenes a lot, but dominated the game for a long time.
Wilt Chamberlain's the only Superman to ever play the game. His records are hilarious.
Yeah, seriously.
You know, anybody they talk about doing something, Wilt Chamberlain has done it hundreds of times. So
no Jordan, no LeBron for you. You got
most consecutive games averaging 40 points per game. 515 Wilt Chamberlain. Kobe Bryant, 23. I mean, good Lord.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, Wilt Chamberlain, Russell. You know, Jordan is up there too, well deserved. LeBron, I don't think is right there with those guys.
One of the most dominant forces we ever had in our game, along with Shaq. One of the greatest Lakers to ever play the game. 100 points.
I would say LeBron is the most dominant player of his era. That is easily said. Was he as dominant as Wilt was back in his day? Obviously not. I mean, just look at those stats that literally just went by the screen. That is crazy.
One of the greatest scorers, rebounders ever. Just dominant in
not even Jordan was that dominant.
Basketball, which is good.
He casts a shadow over our game, a shadow of accomplishment that will never be achieved by another player.
Why is it that we don't recognize Wilt Chamberlain? It feels like, you know, we recognize Babe Ruth, a mythical type figure, that he was hitting more home runs than teams were. You know, he was Babe Ruth. We don't look at Wilt Chamberlain the same way. And Babe did this in the 20s. Wilt was doing this in the 60s and early part of the 70s. And he put up incredible numbers. When the topic comes up, greatest players of all time, Wilt Chamberlain's name never comes up. Really doesn't.
Yeah, it's usually Jordan, Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Very rarely do I ever hear Wilt Chamberlain's name anywhere near the greatest of all time list.
He didn't win enough, but he was going against the Celtics every single year.
Oh, yeah, Russell.
He averaged 50.4 points a game in a season. So he got 50 every single night. But it was never enough with Wilt Chamberlain. Never. We have looked at Wilt Chamberlain like this anomaly, we sort of made him up. We do not acknowledge Wilt Chamberlain. We have forgot about him. And he's one of the most athletic players who's ever played the game. He led the league in assists. He led the league in field goal percentage, led the league in block shots. Whatever you wanted him to do, he was going to do.
Listen, we got to get out the record book. And
it's kind of sad that he's not really remembered, even though his stats are so crazy.
The man
it's like video game stats.
What era. Right. He averaged 50 and 25. Correct. He's got to be on Mount Rushmore.
People complained about him scoring so much. He led the league.
Look at assists. Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, there's been no one like him. And you can't even argue by the numbers. Wilt Chamberlain, the most dominant player ever in this game.
Wilt was unbelievable. He was really a superlative athlete, and I think is really lost on people these days because they don't see that very often.
People looked at him differently, but this was more than just some big guy who dunked the basketball and ran up and down the court. This was a true athlete, and his physical prowess was unbelievable. You hear players compare players in certain eras, and I would love to see him play against some of these centers today. It would be pretty embarrassing for them, to be candid with you.
First of all, you're never going to say who's the greatest of all time. I never played against Wilt Chamberlain. To now say that one's greater than the other is being a little bit
unfair. I won 6 championships. Bill Russell won 11. Does that make Bill Russell better than me and make me better than him? No, because we play at different eras. So when you try to equate who's the greatest of all time, it's an unfair parallel. It's an unfair choice.
Michael's the greatest two-guard to ever.
That's what makes Michael Jordan so likable, even though he's so brash in a lot of ways and hyper-competitive. Even though he's hyper-competitive, he always deflects that question, greatest of all time. Always deflects it. Well, I never played against this person or that person, or, you know, it was a different era, so you can't really compare me with them. But that's what makes him so likable in that conversation, other than the fact that he's amazing, is that he always deflects. Always. He never has come out and said, I'm the greatest of all time. Everyone else pales in comparison to how great I am. Like, imagine if he came out and said that. I'm sure he said it in private, but he's never come out and said it publicly, which, a lot of respect to him for doing that. You know, anyone that openly claims they're the greatest of all time, yikes. Look at the ego.
Play the game and one of the most exciting players to ever put on a uniform. But to say that he's the greatest player ever and that he was a greater player than Wilt Chamberlain is ludicrous. I mean, it's ludicrous. There's no one that is close to what Wilt Chamberlain did in his career.
Wilt, there will never be anybody like they always say that about Michael. They always say that about other players, but there will never, ever be another Wilt Chamberlain.
Everybody's always saying that he played against short people, but like looking at his videos and stuff, like he was so freaking athletic. Like he would have been able to play in any area, like jump over anybody.
I mean, he has all the records, and I don't think they're ever going to be beaten. I don't see anybody getting 100 points in the game. That's it. He's so good.
Damn. That is a lot of information I didn't already know. There's not a lot of footage of Wilt Chamberlain, and no one ever talks about him either. So it's a lot of information that, frankly, I've never heard. And seeing those statistics, I mean, it kind of makes you reevaluate the whole GOAT conversation. And it also makes you reevaluate who the most dominant center ever was. You know, I've always said it was Shaq. Certainly Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had his skyhook, which was an incredible move that no one can stop. He's like a super tall dude just jumping and hooking a shot. Like, good luck blocking that. But, yeah, Wilt Chamberlain, athletic as hell. I've never seen any of that track footage ever. So to see some of the track footage is just impressive. You know, obviously we don't have laser speedometers to check his 100-meter dash times. It was all hand done back then. So that can be, you know, that can be fudged. That can be not accurate. But if that number's correct, 996 in a 100-meter dash, that is Olympic speed. Like, that is a crazy Olympic speed. But yeah, thanks for the recommendation on that. That was eye-opening. I'm glad I included that secondary footage where you could actually see some of the other players talk about him. Leave a recommendation down below in the comments if you have any recommendations, especially like that. If you'd like to see any other sports stars or whatever, be awesome to check those out. Leave a like on the video. Link to the original content down in the description. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one.